Britney Spears' lawyer Matthew Rosengart is now claiming that her father Jamie wanted a $2 million payout in exchange for his removal from the conservatorship. Thankfully, Britney's lawyer is done seeing her have her finances drained, and now he's firing back. I'm going to tell you all about it right here on IO, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Jamie Spears is now doing everything he can to get more money out of his daughter before finally departing from his control over her life. Rosengart has now filed a supplemental petition to have Jamie immediately removed, but said that he tried to barter his exit by asking for $2 million in payments. Not that long ago, Jamie announced in a court filing that he intended on preparing for an orderly transition for a new conservator, thus stepping down from his highly publicized role as co-conservator. In response to this new payout request, Matthew Rosengart filed a statement with the Los Angeles Superior Court and said, "Regardless of the past, Mr. Spears and his counsel are now on notice. The status quo is no longer tolerable, and Britney Spears will not be extorted." In addition to that, he took more shots at Jamie and said, "Mr. Spears' blatant attempt to barter suspension and removal in exchange for approximately $2 million in payments, on top of the millions already reaped from Ms. Spears' estate by Mr. Spears and his associates, is a non-starter." He then goes on to say that the only honorable, decent, and humane course of action would be for Mr. Spears to resign now and provide all the necessary information to evaluate his accounting, and if matters cannot be resolved consensually, to try to defend his accounting as well. Despite being under direct pressure from his superstar daughter as well as the public at large, Jamie's notice of beginning the transition process was filed with resentment. With the next hearing being held on September 29th, Jamie Spears knows that this transition process is going to take months to complete, which means he still has some control over his daughter's life in that time, and this is where things get a little bit sketchy. Now, that being said, Rosengart put into the recent court filings that, contrary to the powers that Mr. Spears and his counsel seek to arrogate unto themselves, they do not get to choose the time and place of Mr. Spears' departure. Those issues are governed by law, the best interest of Ms. Spears, and by this court. Rosengart even compared this to a hostage situation, saying that this is not about him, it is about the best interest of his daughter, which as a matter of law mandates his removal. Putting aside the legal issues that require his immediate removal, if he truly loved his daughter, he would resign today because it would be the correct and at least decent thing to do. But let's not get it twisted. Just because Jamie was denied a $2 million payout doesn't mean that he's going to be giving up control. Judge Penny has rejected any attempt to legally remove him from the conservatorship, and while Jamie is still in control of his daughter's financial and career decisions, Jody Montgomery remains in charge of her personal and medical affairs. So all of that talk about him stepping down was simply lip service to the Free Britney crowd online, hoping that this would calm them down, but we all see right through what's happening here, and it's not okay. In recent weeks, Rosengart suggested that forensic CPA Jason Rubin replace Jamie in the conservatorship, but that still means that all these people believe Britney needs to be controlled by someone. It's fine for her to have an accountant or someone to manage her career, but under the guise of a conservatorship, these people have far too much control over her life and her decisions. So far, Jamie Spears' lawyers have yet to respond to their payout being declined, but if they do, we'll be sure to let you know. As always, we would love to hear what you think in those comments down below, and while you do that, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Influencers Exposed for Living Fake Lives Part 6. The Mindless Tuber says, "I didn't know any of these people, however always lovely to see liars getting called out." Isn't it lovely? It is lovely, isn't it? Hey, it's Cammy says, "Why wouldn't you just get your own dogs if you're rich instead of using pics of somebody else's dogs?" Probably couldn't be bothered, or they can't afford the dogs. Kyron Thompson says, "I love these videos, they're very informative and entertaining at the same time." Thank you so much, Kyron, I really appreciate your comment. And Elise74 says, "I think Courtney used an Elvis Presley filter." That's exactly what it looked like. I'm glad you nailed it with that one. Dennis Bradley says, "Influencers making stuff up to get likes? Unheard of. I refuse to believe it." You better believe it, Dennis. But guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.